The Crane Estate is located in Ipswich, Massachusetts. Now maintained by the trustees of reservations, the land encompasses 2,100 acres, including the historic mansion on Castle Hill, 21 outbuildings, the inn at Castle Hill, designed landscapes overlooking the Ipswich Bay, and the Crane Wildlife Refuge. It is also referred to as Castle Hill and known best for the 5-mile-long, beautiful Cranes Beach, one of New England's finest beaches. Richard T. Crane, Jr. was an industrialist and had made an immense fortune selling plumbing fixtures and hydrants from his toilet company. The Crane Company is mostly responsible for the invention of indoor toilets and the plumbing system. In 1910, Mr. Crane purchased the approximately 1,380 acres of land, to be later known as the Crane Estate, in which they would spend their summers. He then hired Shepley, Rutan, and Choate of Boston to design their cottage, which would sit on the highest hill overlooking the sea. They came up with an Italian Renaissance villa with stucco walls and a red-tiled roof. It contained over 60 rooms and 17 bathrooms. For the landscaping of the Italian gardens, the famous Olmsted brothers, creators of Central Park, were hired. Leading landscape architect Arthur Shercliffe then created what is known as the Grand Allée, a 160-foot wide, half-mile-long green lawn expanse connecting the house to the ocean. This grand summer residence required the maintenance of at least 60 house staff and 100 gardeners. It was visited by Presidents Taft and Wilson, among other dignitaries. Unfortunately for Mr. Crane, his wife Florence was not pleased with the mansion. She thought it was ugly, that it didn't fit the setting, and was cold and drafty. 10 years later, the mansion was set to be rebuilt. Mr. Crane now hired the Chicago architect David Adler. The front was designed in the 17th century Stuart style. It contained 59 rooms. The library was imported from the dismantled manor house of the Earl of Essex, and the panelled interior rooms from 17th century London townhouses. Retained from the previous building was the landscaping created by the Olmsted brothers, the Italian garden, the Rose Garden, and the Grand Allée. It opened in 1928 and was locally known as the Castle because of its magnificence, but was really named the Great House. Not only was the Crane family beneficial to the United States industry, they also had an impact on Ipswich. One of the most important additions Mr. Crane added to their town was a hospital, in which he purchased land and largely funded for. This was after he was in an automobile accident in which he was badly hurt, and his passenger, a good friend, had died. Mr. Crane believed that if there had been a hospital nearby, his friend would still be alive. In honor of his friend, the hospital was named after him, the Benjamin Stickney Cable Memorial Hospital. In addition to this, Mr. Crane supported the Ipswich Historical Society and helped preserve important local monuments, including the Whipple House. He also organized an outing for all school children to enjoy a day at the beach for his son's birthday. Richard T. Crane, Jr. died in 1931 at the age of 58, only 3 years after the Great House was completed. He was placed in the Crane Mausoleum, designed by architect John Russell Pope, who also created the Jefferson Memorial in Washington, D.C. The Crane family continually spent their summers there, and Mr. Crane's widow, increasingly in the winters. By 1957, the rest of the Crane family had donated all of their land to the trustees of reservations. The Crane Estate is a National Historic Landmark and one of the few remaining estates intact from the Country Place era. The trustees of reservations has restored the Grand Allée to its previous glory and is continually restoring the interior as well as the exterior on Castle Hill. The estate provides for a recreation center, historic house tours, weddings, corporate and private parties, art shows, summer concerts, lectures, movie filming, summer camps, and public volunteer opportunities today. The house is a great addition to Ipswich, as is the number of trails throughout the property, leading to beaches, tidal marshes, old-growth woods, hills, and streams. Today, there are more than 25,000 tourists who visit the Crane estate every year.